Howdy folks. Welcome to Trail. Today in this channel, we'll be sharing some real and raw stories about relationships and more. Stick around to hear how they made it through. Or if they did. Without further ado, let's get into some tales together. The first story is titled, Am I Wrong for Telling My Mother-in-Law She Won't Be Seeing My Baby After Throwing a Baby Shower for Herself? By username AwkwardNerve6154. My husband and I are expecting our first child. We moved to be closer to his family. I'm no contact with mine. My mother-in-law has been referring to the baby as her baby this entire time. She will say things like, I can't wait for my baby to be born. My baby is going to be so loved. This rubs me the wrong way for reasons I cannot explain, but my husband tells me to ignore her. My mother-in-law wanted to throw me a baby shower and invite her friends. She said they made an agreement a long time ago that they would celebrate each other's kids' weddings and births. My husband and I eloped and declined a reception for her friends since we don't know them. My mother-in-law told me that I owed it to her to let her throw the baby shower since I hurt her friends' feelings by not having a wedding reception. I asked if I could invite my friends, and she said no, that this was for her friends, and that if my friends wanted to throw me a shower they could. I reluctantly agreed. My husband and I spent hours on our registry, and my mother-in-law asked for it so she could share it with her friends. She said she forwarded the registry on. She asked me what design I wanted on my cake and cookies. I told her flowers because I am decorating the nursery in a garden theme. At the shower, they provided me with a mother-to-be sash and my mother-in-law a granny-to-be sash to wear. I noticed that the theme of the shower was circus animals. The cake had an elephant and balloons on it, and the cookies were animals. At first, I thought that maybe the floral theme was just too difficult, so I rolled with it until it was time to open presents. Every present was some sort of circus animal. Onesies, blankets, toys, nothing on my registry. I was a little confused and even went so far as to check my registry to make sure I hadn't goofed up and changed everything. I thanked everyone for their gifts and tried to sound as gracious as possible, but I was so confused. My husband, who is a little less tactful than I am, showed up at the end of the shower and noticed the theme right away. He goes, "What's up with all the circus animals?" He looks at the presents and says, "This isn't what we asked for." Then he looked at his mom and goes, "Mom, what did you do?" She smiled and said, "I didn't like the theme you chose for my baby. I'm going to decorate my baby's nursery at my house with circus animals, so I created a registry for myself." My husband said, "You did what?" She says, "My baby is going to need a room at my house, so I threw a shower for myself." I lost my composure and told her that she would not see my baby and to stop calling the baby hers. And my husband told his mom that she's delusional if she thinks we're going to allow this. She started crying and said we are just withholding her baby from her. We've been getting texts from his family since the shower, calling us selfish and ungrateful and saying we ruined her joy of being a grandma. Are we wrong? Let's read some additional information given by Opie. I'm about to go to bed but wanted to post some clarifications before I do. I'm no contact with my mom because she was physically and emotionally abusive to me and my brother. Our dad passed away a few years ago. I'm very close to my brother, but he lives across the country. We moved to be closer to my husband's family because he's always been very close with them and was getting homesick. We both work from home, and when I got pregnant we decided no better time than the present to move. We wanted our daughter to have a family. It was especially important to me since I didn't really have that growing up. My mother-in-law has always been a little odd, but nothing compared to my own mother. My husband told me after this event that she's always been able to make things about herself, but he had no clue she'd take it to this extreme. He wants to wait a few days before we defend ourselves or take any additional action. His logic is that we will respond emotionally rather than logically if we respond now, so let's just wait for it to blow over first. My father-in-law is very much in the picture. He and mother-in-law are long divorced. He and his wife have been absolutely amazing, what I'd imagine excited grandparents to be. My mother-in-law kept the gifts. I still don't quite know if her friends caught on to exactly what she did, but they let her keep everything. This was a shower for her friends. The family shower is later. She didn't want me to invite my friends to this one, nor did she invite her family. It was all people I'd never met until that day, and my husband hadn't seen them in 20 years. And here are some comments that Opie replied to. One user asked, "Did her friends know these were for her home? Were they addressed to you?" Opie responds, "From what she said, she sent them the registry she created. I haven't seen the registry myself. I'm guessing it's been taken down because I can't find it. The gifts were addressed to me, so all I can guess is that the friends thought the registry was real. The friends were very quiet after my husband called out the theme. Another comment reads, does your mother-in-law have a daughter? Is your husband an only child? Could she be wanting a girl? Opie replies, husband is the younger of 2 boys, and yes, the baby is a girl. You may be right. And another, this doesn't seem real / how could you think you're wrong? And Opie says, yeah, unfortunately it's true. I almost didn't post because I was so sure I was overreacting on this. I still feel that way, to be honest. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my anxiety at bay. I've pretty much convinced myself I overreacted. My husband says that she's never done anything this outlandish before, but that she does have a tendency to make things about herself without a thought of how it would affect other people. On the grandma shower being a thing, Opie says, what bothered me is that she deceived me and made it out to be a celebration for me and then used it as an opportunity for herself. If I'd known what it was, I'd have been okay with it. And a user asks, what is the rest of that family that is texting you think happened here? To which Opie says, they think we should have been grateful that she planned a party for me and that everyone brought these really nice gifts for me. She didn't tell them that she sent a fake registry or that she'd planned this to be a party for herself. The family shower was coming later, so they weren't in attendance. Update 1. Thank you all for your feedback. Just a little more info now that I'm awake and can communicate better. I have text messages where mother-in-law and I conversed about the shower, what I wanted, me sending her my registry, etc. She was all, this is going to be so wonderful, you're going to love it. My friends are so excited for you. I can't wait to see what everyone gets you. Call me naive, but I did not think that she had ill intent with this. For those asking why I reluctantly agreed to attend a party with her friends, I could tell how much it meant to her to carry on this tradition with her friends, but I was hesitant because I had never met them. My husband and I had declined the wedding reception she wanted to throw for the same reason. I didn't know them, and he hadn't seen them in over 20 years. We had eloped, so we had no intention of throwing a reception of any kind. We didn't even have a bridal shower, other than one that my coworkers threw as a surprise. But I could see how much it meant to her to host this shower, and there's a part of me that wishes I had this kind of tradition in my life. I also felt guilty when she said her friends' feelings were hurt that they couldn't celebrate our marriage. I spoke with my husband last night before we went to bed and told him that I feel like we need to say something to the extended family sooner rather than later. I said I understand he wants to respond logically and not emotionally, but that I also feel like us not saying anything looks like we have something to hide. He agreed and said that he will send a well-worded response later today. He just wants to think of how to word it before sending anything. I can respect that. He wants to make the situation better, not worse. As I said in my original post, he's a little tactless, and he knows it. He wants to make sure he keeps what he says neutral and to the point. He's also not sure what to say to his mother at this point. He said once he sees how the family reacts to the whole story, then he'll be able to make a better judgment of how to approach her. There had been zero discussion with her about setting up a room at her house for the baby. I asked my husband last night had she mentioned anything to him about it, and he said no, other than she suggested we add a pack and play to our registry so we can have a portable crib. He said he was as shocked as I was to find out that she had intended on setting up a full-fledged nursery at her house, and that he had no idea she was throwing a shower for herself. I asked him why he didn't take me seriously when I said that her calling the baby her baby made me uncomfortable, and he said that he thought it was just a generational thing. I asked why he didn't ask her to stop, and he said he wishes he had and feels bad for not taking me more seriously. He said he knows I have trauma from the years of abuse at my mother's hand and thought maybe I was reacting due to that. But now he sees that it goes beyond that. He also knows that, due to my past experiences, I tend to blame myself for things and don't stand up for myself even though I should. I grew up believing everything that went wrong was my fault. Years of therapy have helped, but I still find myself with that mindset in some situations. I'm a bit of a people pleaser, trying to keep the peace. So he wishes he had stood up sooner rather than disregarding what made me uncomfortable. He repeated that his mom is notorious for making things about herself, but that he had no clue she would go to this extent. We agreed that if she had just been honest with her intent, then we would have been okay with it. Maybe a little weirded out if we're being honest here, but we would have allowed it. What bothers both of us the most is the extent she went to deceive us rather than just having a conversation with us. We had no clue grandparent showers were a thing, either. We're not certain we want to go 100% no contact with mother-in-law at this time, but we want to keep our distance from her for now. We did agree that she will not be allowed to be alone with the baby for the foreseeable future. The hospital that I'm giving birth in allows infants to stay in the room with the mother, So my husband and I have agreed that she, the baby, will stay with us as much as possible. We're still up in the air as to whether we're going to allow visitors at the hospital. Some of that will be determined how I feel after the birth, if I end up needing a cesarean section, etc. Mother-in-law definitely will not be allowed in the room while I'm delivering. No one but the husband and our medical staff. The big thing we agreed on is that we want our baby to be loved and safe and secure. He knows that I don't have a family to fall back on, other than my brother, who has said that he will buy a plane ticket and be out here as soon as possible if I need him, and my friends, who have been very supportive and are excited to become aunties. We want our baby to have a sense of family that I did not have growing up. Husband's dad and stepmom have been absolutely amazing from the second we announced our pregnancy to them, and I have no doubt the two of them will be loving, doting grandparents. Honestly, I suspect mother-in-law will be a good grandma, but she's going to have to earn my and my husband's trust again. Update 2. My update post was denied/deleted, so I'm sharing an update here. Most of you were correct. My husband talked to his brother yesterday. Mother-in-law is plotting to take my child, but it's because she thinks I'm going to be like my own mother. My own mother was physically and emotionally abusive to me and my brother. Mother-in-law told basically everyone that I'm mentally unstable, so she's preparing a room for when, not if, my husband leaves with the baby. The baby shower was a ruse to try to get a rise out of me and show her friends how unstable I am. But my husband ruined it by showing up and being the one to really say something. I mouthed off a bit, but my mother-in-law was hoping to really push me over the edge. I assumed that my baby comments were testing the waters as well. I've been in therapy for years, and I've been working on my own fears of being like my mom with my therapist. We have a weekly standing appointment on Zoom. I've also talked with my OB and psychiatrist about staying on my medication and watching closely for signs of postpartum depression. My husband has been a part of all these conversations and has sat in therapy with me multiple times. I'm not violent or known to have violent outbursts. I tend to withdraw and be non-confrontational when I'm upset. I can't say I fault mother-in-law for having concerns, but I wish she'd gone about showing it in a completely different manner, such as talking with me and my husband. He has half a mind to go to her house and just rip her a new one, but I told him no. We're not going to fight fire with fire. If she'd talked with me about her concerns, I feel we wouldn't have reached this point. I've been able to share what I went through with her. We've always been able to talk about things. She's seen my arms and legs, which are scarred from physical abuse. She's odd, but never uncivil towards me. I would have told her I shared those concerns and then told her what steps I'm taking to prevent them. I haven't told her about having those worries because, ironically enough, I didn't want her to worry. I don't want to keep my daughter from a grandparent who loves her. I just wish things had been handled a little differently. Now let's read some relevant comments OP made. One user says, someone who was genuinely concerned would have let your husband know privately that if he needed something she would be there, not this. And OP says, she didn't talk to my husband either. She can talk to everyone but us, the two people who most know and understand the situation. Husband is livid and wants to go no contact with her and anyone who went along with her plot, which is basically everyone on her side of the family. I'm not sure that's the best approach, but I also don't know what to say to any of them at this point. Another. I would talk with your therapist. OP responds, absolutely. We have my weekly appointment on Monday. Husband is going to sit in on this session as well. On who is supporting them, OP says his aunts defended her and said she had every right to throw herself a baby shower. His brother says he's in the middle of it and wants us to just work it out with her directly. Really, the only people who have shown true support for me and husband are his dad and stepmom, plus my brother, who has said that he'll be on the next flight out if I just say the word. And now a few comments from the husband. Husband here. Definitely not catering to my mom. My wife is trying to justify my mom's actions to try to better understand them, but there is no justifying them. I'm here for my wife when she finally understands that she did nothing wrong. Husband here. As far as I'm concerned, my mom will not be anywhere near my daughter. I know my wife will come to that same conclusion once she's processed everything. I'm contacting our property manager tomorrow to come change our locks on our doors and ensure that our window locks are working properly. At this point, I don't want anything to do with my mom even if she does show remorse. I don't see how I can ever forgive her for what she did. I love my wife and daughter, and no one is going to hurt them on my watch. I have questions about my brother since he knew this was going on and didn't say anything. He believed my mom when she said I was being abused. Right now, the only family we trust are my dad and stepmom and my wife's brother. And the final comment by husband. Hi. Husband here. got tagged about this post. I've taken over this account so my wife doesn't see the blatantly hateful messages we've received. Luckily, this posting has much more supportive responses, for which I'm grateful. My wife is on board now with no contact and other actions to protect herself and our daughter. She processes things a little differently because of her past abuse. But she realizes now that she's done nothing wrong and she's ready to fight. We've had a week full of appointments. Therapist, OB, psychiatrist, attorney. The medical providers are all willing to testify on my wife's behalf if it comes to that. The attorney we consulted with has advised us to maintain no contact with my mother or any of her flying monkeys. I love that term. Thanks, Reddit. We've blocked everyone from social media and on our phones and have set our own accounts to private. He said grandparents' rights can only be established if there's a relationship with the child, so the best thing to do is not to allow her to have one. We're filing for a restraining order against her, as well. That's really all I know at this point. And I absolutely love my wife and daughter, and I'm ready for this nightmare to be over. I'm sorry to hear about the challenging situation that you were going through, Opie. It's clear that she's facing an emotionally charged circumstance, and it's commendable that you are actively seeking support through therapy and maintaining a strong connection with your husband. Dealing with past trauma and navigating family dynamics can be incredibly tough, and I hope that you find the strength and resilience needed to overcome these challenges. The next story is titled, My Partner, 36 Female, Threw Away My 38 Male, Grandma's Secret Recipe and I Can't Forgive Her. By username Thrower Adam. My partner and I have been living together for 3 years now, and everything has been great until recently. Sadly, my grandma passed away a few years ago, and before she did, she gave me her family recipe book. This book was filled with secret family recipes that she trusted me with. I love cooking and absolutely loved my grandma's meals, so this book means a lot to me. The other day, I was looking for a recipe in the book to make one of my grandma's special meals. But to my surprise, the page with the recipe was gone. I searched everywhere and found out that my partner had thrown it away thinking the recipe was wrong. She said she didn't know the recipe book was from my grandma and assumed it was just some old notebook or whatever. I was really upset. She didn't ask me before throwing away something that meant a lot to me. It wasn't just a recipe, it had a piece of my family's history. I tried to explain how important it was, but she didn't care and said I could find another recipe online and that I'm overreacting. I'm struggling to move forward from this. Her being so dismissive of my feelings upsets me. I've never seen her behave this way before. How can I move past this? Edit. Thank you for all the comments. They were really helpful, especially since I started to think I was overreacting. She threw away a rum cake recipe. I have no idea why. She liked it when she tasted it before, so the recipe wasn't wrong as she claims. I haven't talked to her for almost 2 days. She's at work now. I'll probably have a conversation with her later when she gets home. I'm so sad and confused. I don't understand why she would want to hurt me like this. Everything was going well between us, and we hadn't argued in weeks, so I'm not sure why she would want to take revenge on me. Now for the update. Hello, fellow Redditors. I hope you're all doing well. Just wanted to give you an update on the situation I mentioned earlier. Thank you for your advice and support. Your words have been really helpful during this tough time. Since my last post, I talked to my partner about what happened. It turns out she threw away the recipe not because she thought it was wrong, but because she was jealous of my cooking skills. At first, she denied any bad intentions and tried to downplay the importance of the recipe book. But as we talked more, she finally admitted feeling jealous and insecure. It was surprising because I had never seen this side of her before. She said she has always been a little insecure about her cooking skills. I had no idea. She feels like I outshine her in the kitchen, her words, especially after receiving all the compliments from her family last time we hung out. So in a fit of jealousy, she decided to throw away the recipe thinking it would somehow even the score. Needless to say, I was hurt and disappointed. I couldn't understand why she would let her jealousy get the best of her and intentionally hurt me. We had always supported and uplifted each other in our relationship, so this behavior was completely out of character. She apologized and promised to work on her insecurities and jealousy, but honestly, I don't think I can forgive her and move on from this. Once again, I wanted to say thank you all for your support and advice. Let's see what the community thinks. One comment reads, if your partner tries to hurt you intentionally, they are no partner. It's too bad she couldn't have communicated her insecurities to Opie instead of trying to hurt him. Love is respect. Another says, let me get this straight. girlfriend threw away something important and a piece of family history to OP due to jealousy and instead of communication, acts petty and immature like a child? You have to be a pathetic person to be jealous over for a recipe. This woman is so immature, and OP shouldn't continue this relationship because clearly, this isn't about the recipe anymore. And the last one, she did this intentionally knowing it was going to cause you pain. I'm all for communication, but some people are just evil. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you for tuning into our stories today. If you found it engaging or have thoughts to share, drop a comment below. Your feedback means the world to us. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content, and hit that notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, take care.